The performance traits this year have jumped away once again. Growth rate, post-weaning weights had a big jump. Fat and muscle had another big jump, fat particularly, but weaning rate has really kicked away. And I love that within the component parts of weaning rate, ewe rearing ability is the one that's really starting to push away. So there's some wonderful stuff happening on the performance front. As much as we love the performance traits, and there's a lot to get excited about on that front, there's so much of the breeding is focused on the traits that save us money. Breech wrinkle is a trait that we've been well below the industry for a long time now. A lot of that selection work has been done and we continue to benefit from that, not needing the mule sheep because of that breech wrinkle focus. But worm resistance is now consistently at very low levels, -40 or lower. But the one that's really taken a dip this year, and lower the better, is in DAG score. We've been selecting for it for a while, but we've now had a chance to put multiple generations together of lower DAG, and that's really starting to come through in the data this year. So that's pretty exciting. Intramuscular fat, it's another popular one. We don't place a huge amount of selection pressure on IMF, but it does seem to come along for the ride when we're selecting for yearling fat. So either way, intramuscular fat, eating quality, there's a real space for that in the market. It's pretty cool to see where that's going.
Genetics and genetic gain, two big words. Genetics is all about, what we're trying to create. Genetic gain is about measuring the improvement in that over time. You've got to have measured data to be able to measure your gain. So there's 30 odd different traits, and now here we are adding visual traits. There's 4 different foot structure measurements per leg, that's 16 per animal. Like all the visual traits, colour, character, all measured and put into that data set. That's getting some real data. We're seeing a whole drop of rams overstep and advance past the last year's model. So therefore, measuring that gain year on year for us is very important, but it's also more important for the commercial producer because they can see that we're progressing that animal. So if they want to progress with us, it's just a matter of hopping on the bus. The level at Mumblebone of our genetic power behind the scenes is huge. It comes back down to measuring all those individual animals, all the ewes, the ewe lambs, the rams, everything. It all compounds into one. We can drill down into that compound effect and specifically choose a ram or a set of animals that will send us into the future like you wouldn't believe, with all the right traits and all the right things that we need. Or we can adapt that to a client's flock and send them on the same path. It's that level of detail, 20 years of measuring, and a compound effect over that genetic gain. It's really exciting moving forward. We all cannot wait for that joining period where we're selecting specific ewes, specific rams, and to get a 6% gain this year and to actually see a quarter of our rams just skip way ahead of the last generation a year older is phenomenal. So where can we take this? There's unlimited tech and advancements in that are driving this forward. There's passion behind the scenes. There's data, once again, is king, and away we go. So exciting.
I think the ewe's queen in any business really, isn't she? Her ability to be able to perform under pressure. It's the ability to get back in lamb first and foremost, and then maintaining body condition score throughout the season. It helps make management a lot easier and gives you plenty of options around decisions that you can make. Little rocket ships, just having more little rocket ships.
The breeding process can be quite complicated. There are a lot of traits we measure. Some of those traits want to come along together, but some of those traits they fight. And one of the classic examples is fleece weight. Anytime we look to increase fleece weight, there are trade-offs. More fleece weight means it's harder to reduce micron. More fleece weight means it's harder to have more lambs. It's not to say we can't combine all those traits, but without the data to individually select those traits, it becomes very hard to drive them all in the right direction. Being difficult to take all traits together doesn't mean it's impossible, and the simple key is to have data across all of the traits we want to move. And if we select on a lot of traits with accurate data, we can move a lot of traits in a positive direction, whether that's up or down. But we've got to have the data to do it, and that's what's really broken the mold in terms of modern merino genetics.
Profitability is about utilising those measured traits. Genetics is traceable and trackable. So if we can measure so many products, including visuals, on all animals on this farm, the profitability, it's about reducing costs, and it's about being more productive and creating an animal that's sustainable and robust for the varying climate markets that we deal with. Measuring WEC, measuring DAG, all these foot structure scores, all things that are going to save us money on the farm. They're predictable because they're measured. That performance is recorded here put into a breeding value, and you could take that home and apply that to a commercial producer and make strategic changes and adapt to reducing your costs. Increase production, so growth rates that are reasonably high, lessening the time a saleable animal stays on farm, reducing costs and making more money. Another profitable trait that's highly heritable is lamb survival. Highly reproductive animals backed up by data. You can take those breeding values back and increase your lamb survival. Yes, management is a part of it, but it's a heritable trait. It's direct to your back pocket if you can get it right. So why not take high reproduction animals home and turn that into a profitable exercise on farm?
To recap on the indexes, and these are a reasonably new way of measuring data, we have 3 indexes. The Mumblebone index is very closely aligned to the direction we're wanting to take the stud. The key point there is that it has high growth, fat muscle, fleece weight, reproduction, all the other traits, but it is aiming at long staple wool for people wanting to go down a prem shearing path. To complement the Mumblebone index, we have the wool index, and the main difference here is staple length. There's people wanting to maintain an annual shearing length, and this is an index that's focusing on staple length to maintain that annual shearing interval. The other index is the carcass index, and that's the one that has the highest focus on carcass traits and reproduction. Less focus on fleece weight and micron to open up the space genetically to select for higher growth and higher reproduction. It's for those focusing on ewe lamb joining and early weather lamb sales. 3 indexes, all slightly different, allowing people to breed in their own specific directions.